This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is former NFL tight end turned entrepreneur, Hakeem Valles. Hakeem, how's it going?
Paul, what's going on, brother? Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Let's just jump right into it. So tell us where you grew up and how you got into football.
I grew up in Winslow Township, New Jersey, small town in Camden County, about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. And I started playing football when I was I started playing when I was young, just, backyard football. I didn't start playing organized football until I was in third grade. So probably, 8 years old? Yeah, started with the Winslow Redskins. And, yeah.
Gotcha. So since you played for, the Redskins, was that your favorite team growing up?
No. Oh, no. I bled green and white. I still bleed green and white. Diehard Eagles fan. Just growing up 20 minutes from Philadelphia, that was home. High schools in the area, their mascot was Eagles. You wore green and white on Fridays. You got half off on a slice of pizza or a free slushie for pep rallies. That was back during the Donovan McNabb T.O. era, and it was the real Eagles fans now.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you had a great high school career, and you're primarily a wide receiver. And what was your recruiting process like?
Probably different than most. I had an average high school career. Going from my sophomore year to my junior year, I was actually going to quit football because I liked basketball more. And my first love is basketball. And I wanted to go to the NBA, and I wanted to go to college for basketball. And going from my sophomore year to my junior year, I went to my advisor, who was also my basketball coach, and said, hey, I'm thinking about not playing football next year because I come to basketball season every year and I'm out of shape because I'm in football shape. And I want to get ready for basketball season in the fall too, like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And he was like, football teaches you things that I can't teach you. So I want you to, stick with football one more year. And if, you really don't like it, then next year we'll do that. And then we'll get you into college for basketball your senior year. And I was like, all right, cool. And then my junior year is my breakout year for football. And it was awesome. I was getting a lot of calls from a whole bunch of different schools, going heavily through the recruiting process. My junior year, that summer, went to I don't know how many camps. Some of my great memories is just me and my dad going camp to camp to camp to camp every weekend from all spring all the way through the summer, going into my senior year, all the different individual colleges, recruitment camps. And it was awesome. I'd only gotten one offer coming out of the summer, was with Monmouth University. And going into my senior year, the main schools that were really kind of liked me was University of Delaware and Boston College. And they wanted to mainly see my first 3 games and determine if they were going to offer me or not. And it's funny because University of Delaware actually wanted me as a tight end back then. Mm-hmm. And 2 days before the first game, we were doing this hit and drill. And I was actually the quarterback because our quarterback got hurt. So I went from wide receiver to quarterback to start the season just because I also was a quarterback growing up. And my freshman and sophomore year, on JV, I was the quarterback. And I also was the safety. And we were doing this hitting drill because in our scrimmage we had some awful tackles during the scrimmage. So we did a hitting drill where we were 20 yards away from each other. The guy who had the ball was standing up. The guy on defense was laying on his back. And it was a slim tunnel and you just had to run down and tackle. It was just a man up drill. And I was I'm the quarterback. I'm really not trying to get hurt doing this, but I'm not going to get out of the drill. So I'm just going to leg swipe people so I don't really take on some serious contact. And I leg swiped the dude I was hitting. He's actually my really good friend still to this day, Bio. And he was like, all right, next time I'm going to jump over you. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And he jumped over me. I grabbed his foot. And that leverage of him jumping and me grabbing his foot, my knuckles almost went to my butt, over my head. And I tore my labrum. And I was out for the entire season. I had to get surgery in October, November. All those schools, dropped me, stopped. Didn't want anything to do with me after that. So shout out to them. And Monmouth honored my scholarship and was kind of with me throughout the whole process. And, committed to Monmouth, and it was home ever since.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy, and that's dope that Monmouth stuck with you, and that's and that's New Jersey school, so.
Hell yeah.
So you started out wide receiver there also, and then you switched to tight end your redshirt junior year. So what led to that decision?
A couple factors led to it. One factor was it was Neil Sterling's 5th year, so it was his kind of breakout year. And on top of that, Reggie White Jr. had just came in, and like he just signed to the New York Giants recently. Mm-hmm. And I remember summer session, it was like supposed to be like my summer year. Like I'm like, all right, it's gonna be my year. I'm gonna be playing, blah blah blah. And then I see this freshman come in. We're doing drills. I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid's good. And then it kind of came down to like my 5th year. Like if I wanted to get a 5th year, I had to actually get on the field because like up to this point, like my redshirt year, my sophomore year, my junior year, I had 0 catches, nothing. Like I used to play during like dumpster time, like at the very, very end for like a couple snaps, no catches, like onside kick, like hands team maybe. And I was like, you know what? Like in order to really get on the field, like one of the tight ends had gotten like a concussion. And I was like, you know what? Like I think I can play tight end. Yeah. And my buddy Thaddeus Richards, he was a wide receiver. He was like, yeah, maybe you should make the move to tight end. It was 9 days into camp. And I went to the tight ends coach and, told him, I said, hey, like, what's your thoughts on me moving to tight end? And he was like, I've been waiting for you to ask me that since you got here. And I was like, oh, snap. He's like, let me talk to the head coach and like, we'll check it out and see how, get you into a stance and see how, see what we can do from there. And it was rough at first. So like, I put on like 40 pounds in like a month and a half, and was, first game, I got my first catch. Second game, got my first touchdown. And then like third game, I started every game after that.
Yeah, that's another crazy story right there. Just they never asked you to move to tight end?
No, I went up to them because it was looking slow. It was looking real slow at wide receiver. I'm like, you know what? Like it's looking like I am not like being completely self-aware. Yeah. I'm not playing this year again. Like it's unless somebody gets hurt, I'm not playing. And if I don't play, I'm not getting a 5th year. If I don't get a 5th year, that means I'm not getting my master's. I wasn't even thinking really NFL at that point. Yeah. It was really about getting a master's.
So yeah, actually, that's my next question. When did you realize like you had a shot to play in the NFL?
It was kind of really multifaceted. Like after that season, my little brother had gotten drafted to the Oakland Raiders, and like that was a big realizer, like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it, like, easily. And it was my tight ends coach, Jeff Gallo, was just like, he kind of came up to me after the season, was like, he's coached tight ends before that have went to the NFL, and was like, look, I know what it takes to get, he was roommates with Miles Austin, like, at Monmouth, back when they were at Monmouth together, when he was an offensive lineman. Yeah. And he came up to me and was like, I know what it takes, to get to the NFL, and like I think you got what it takes, but you got like you're raw, like you don't have like what I'm saying, like you came into this like 9 days into camp, and we threw you in the fire, and you know what I'm saying, you came out, but you're raw, and like we can get you right, but like straight up, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Yeah. Like I am going to kick your ass. Like if you're willing to, I'll kick your ass this summer, and you'll go to the NFL, and like. I was open to it. Yeah. And then it was, I'm not sure if you know this, but I went to Haiti that summer. Right after I graduated, after that season in May, I went to Haiti with my mom, my dad, and my grandma on a missionary trip with a group of nurses from Villanova University as well. And we went out there, and it was the most amazing week of my life, like I'm Haitian, so like getting ingrained with my real roots, it was unreal. Our mission was we were giving out medicine to different churches and orphanages across the country, and it was May 29th, 2015, and it was middle of the night. It was 2:30 in the morning. Me and 3 other missionaries, we were playing spades, the card game, and there was a storm that night, so we opened up the steel door, deadbolt door, to let a breeze come in, and like. You know those electric fly swatters that you can like hit bugs that made like that loud like sound? Yeah. All of a sudden you hear this loud pow, and like my initial reaction is like, who's hitting the electric fly swatter? In reality, it was a gunshot going through the screen door, and then you see a foot kick through the front door, and 8 people storm into the house behind that foot. And there's a guy sitting. I was froze Because like I still was like fly swatter, and then everything just happened in slow motion. And the guy, this guy named T, sitting across the table from me, he jumps across the table and tackles me out of my chair. And that same guy who shot through the front door and shoots at us. Like, you know, there's a bullet hole in the wall, and like we're laying on the ground below it. And then like they come over, flip over the table. There's a girl next to us. She has a shawl on. They rip it into pieces, hog tie us. So hands tied behind your back, feet tied at your ankles, and then hands tied to your feet, and then blindfolded. And then those guys went room to room and stole everything. Like they punched one lady in the face, like attempted to rape another lady and failed. There was a pastor who was staying with us, and like if you didn't know where his bedroom was, you'd have never looked there. And he was hiding under the bed, and he called the police. And the police were like, "Where are you guys located at?" "Nope, we don't come to that area." Like, "Good luck." Click. And then like he calls the next door neighbor and says, "Go outside and like empty your clip like out in the air." So all of a sudden you just hear like all these gunshots outside, and like I don't speak Creole, so I don't know what's happening. I don't know if the country's under attack. Like, I don't know what's happening. Right. After those gunshots, we had thought they left, but on our compound we had also had like a medical clinic, and they were going in and out of the clinic, you know, still in the medicine and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, my dad had untied himself out of the bedroom. And, you know, from his perspective, he hears gunshots and hears his son screaming, and then gets tied up in his bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Like, he unties himself, crawls out, makes sure nobody got hit, and then starts to untie me. Well, no, closes the steel door first, puts the deadbolt in, starts to untie me, and then, like, 30 seconds later, doom, 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 you hear, like, loud banging at the door, like, in their back. And my dad, everybody's just like, be quiet, like we're all being quiet because we don't think they can get in. And then they start shooting out the windows. So my dad's like, okay, and opens up the door for them. They like rough him up, tie him back up, throw him on top of me, and go through the house again. And like at that time, that pastor had done the prayer that morning at the prime minister's office. And he calls the prime minister himself saying, "Send the police, we're under attack." And like the police finally hear sirens going off in the distance, like probably about 45 minutes since the beginning of like the ambush like started. And once you hear the sirens, they scurried off. Cops come, they were there for 5 to 10 minutes, told us take pictures on our phones and cameras if we have them, and good luck. And like that was it. And like 3 days later, I started summer sessions and started working out, like going into my 5th year. And like coming back originally, like, I was messed up. Like I had some awful PTSD. Like I had a panic attack on the airplane, and like that changed me, you know, for forever in terms of like truly understanding like the value of life and just being grateful for like everything. Like nothing can break me on the physical side of things because I can take my mind to the place of you're not in a third world country, tied up, covered in your own urine, knowing that you're about to die. So, like, I mean, we could run a 5K, like, right now, and, like, I've never run a 5K, but just because it's not as bad as being in that situation, I could do it. And that's kind of how I started approaching working out and really grinding, like a whole different level of grinding. Like, you can ask anyone who's ever really grinded with me, I can attest that to anyone, like, how hard, especially during those times, how hard I was working. And I think that's what really, like that, you know, overcoming that traumatic experience is something that really attests to kind of where I am today.
That's amazing. That's crazy. And wow, that definitely could be a life changer right there. So you think if that never happened, do you think that you wouldn't have worked as hard?
I don't know. I don't know. I know I still would have grinded. Yeah. Like, obviously, like I was trying to go to the NFL, but there's just those times where times get tough, obviously, all the time. And I know that all the time, like going back to that place was, I don't know what place I would have went back to or what would have kept me going in the sense of when times got tough, like when you're working out, you know, for, you know, on the grind 10, 11 hours a day, you know, from when you start to train to go to the NFL at like the, you know, the place you're training at pre-draft. Like, even when you're like a rookie and like any times, like when times get tough, like you can just go thinking about that. Like times can get tough right now. And it's just like, it's amazing how grateful I am. You know, it's, so I don't know. I honestly don't. Cause I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah, for sure. So I know even though you went undrafted, you got signed by the Arizona Cardinals and you made the practice squad. What was that like making the NFL roster?
Oh, it was super cool. I was just happy to have a home and have a job, and it was really cool trying to be a part of a family. Like, practice squad. I think some people don't realize, practice squad gets like a stigma, like, oh, you're not like really a part of the team. Like you're a part of the team when you're in the practice squad. And it's like you do everything with the team, and everybody's kind of like a fan base, and like, oh, he's practice squad, like he can't hang out with us. You know what I mean? Like it was cool. And then after like actually getting bumped up a couple weeks in the season, that was unreal.
Yeah. What was that like, just stepping on the field for your first like official NFL game?
It was wild, mainly because it was Thursday night football, so it was prime time. So there's an extra whole set of cameras out there on the field, and I also made a couple mistakes during the game. Like there was like a play action pass, like a naked play called, and I knew the ball was coming to me. Like if the defense did what they were supposed to do, which they did, and I had caught the same ball during preseason against the Broncos on the same exact play. And the play was called, and I was like, oh, let's go. Like, Thursday night football, like, let's do it. And the ball comes to me, goes right through my hands.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, damn, go back to the huddle. I'm like, my fault, guys. Very next play, it's a rub route. I'm setting a pick for Larry Fitzgerald. And I set it. He catches it. He goes for, like, 40 yards. Offensive pass interference on me.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then that on-field camera for like the primetime games, like that thing is like following me. So like it's like in the huddle with me. It's like in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know they're just ripping me on TV. Like rookie Hakeem Valles comes up for his first game on the practice squad. His first play is a drop. His second play is offensive pass. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, this is rough. But we wind up winning that game. So, nobody tends to really remember the mistakes, which is, not after film. No one remembers the mistakes. But it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, for sure. And in 2017, I know that the Cardinals waived you, but then you signed with Detroit. And then is that when your entrepreneurship and real estate came in?
Actually, no. So my entrepreneurship goes, kind of being self-aware as a kid, I've always been an entrepreneur. And I'll get you all the way back to the Cardinals. Like back when I was in like 5th grade, I was, I couldn't believe some of these people used to let me cut their grass. My older brother would drive me around to these houses that I put ads up on Craigslist and go cut grass. Then when I was in middle school, like my mom had a Sam's Club's card, and she used to go to Sam's Club and buy me a box of Skittles for $13 and had 36 Skittles in it. And then I'd go sell each bag of Skittles for $1 and make $23 per box of Skittles, and like went to school every day with 2 backpacks on. And like when I was going from high school to college, my little brother Max had broke his iPhone for like the 10th time, and like my dad was like, I'm not paying to get it fixed. And I was like, let me check it out. And went on Amazon, bought a screen for like $20, $25. And it took me like 6 hours, but I fixed his phone and it worked. I was like, oh my gosh, it worked. And then like, ding, like a light bulb went off in my head, and I took apart my phone, put it back together until I could do it in 20 minutes. And then I showed up to college my freshman year, my first day on campus, like I was the iPhone repair guy. Like I fixed like 3 or 4 phones a day, like literally bought the screens for $20, $25 and fixed them for $60. And then I used to take the cracked screens and sell them to this company in Alabama for $5 a cracked screen, and they used to recycle the screens and make new screens. And then I would go to all the iPhone repair stores in the area, in like the Monmouth area, and buy their screens, their cracked screens from them for $2.50 a screen, and then go back to my dorm, my house, bubble wrap those screens back up, and then ship them out to Alabama for $5 a screen. Like, and then I got to, like, while I was in college, like the girl I was actually dating at the time, her dad had his own house flipping business, and my major in college was business with a concentration in real estate. And he took me under his wing, and we flipped like 10 houses together in North Jersey, like while like I was in college and playing football. Like it was awesome. Like I used to schedule my classes at night. Like our practice would be around noon, and like 6 a.m. to 10, like I was up in North Jersey knocking down walls, putting in offers on pre-foreclosures, driving neighborhoods, writing direct mailed letters and putting them in people's house, like their front doors. Like, I was really doing it. It was kind of cool getting that hands-on experience, and then in the classroom learning the terminology, but like in reality learning how to be an employee at one of the bigger commercial real estate firms. And when I was on the Cardinals, like I was paying $2,000 a month for this place for rent. And so, I mean, like that whole house flipping thing was cool, but like after me and that girl broke up, like obviously me and her dad's relationship ended in terms of real estate. But when I got to the Cardinals, even before the Cardinals, like that January through April when I was training at Test Football in Jersey, like it was about an hour and a half commute every day from Monmouth with traffic. And so hour and a half each way. It's about 3 hours of driving, about an hour for lunch. And like during those 4 hours a day, I was always listening to real estate podcasts and audiobooks. Just grinded, like, because I had that oh crap moment. Like, if this football stuff doesn't work out, like, I'm gonna be living back at home with mom and dad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. Like, I literally put my MBA on hold, 10 credits to go. Like, this was it. Like, you moved out of the house with the boys. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, that was when it really hit, is when I moved out of 1165 Lincoln Court. That was when it hit. I was like, yo, like, we're all in, burning the ships. Yeah. But like, I was like, nah, I need to have a fallback. So I decided whatever city I was going to, I'm doing real estate. And when I went to the Cardinals, went there, I made a post on this site called Bigger Pockets. It's like a real estate, it's like the Facebook for real estate, but they have like a forum there, like for state. Mm-hmm. And I made a post introducing myself. My name's Hakeem. I'm a tight end for the Cardinals, looking to network with other, real estate investors. I want to house hack my first property here in Phoenix. And like, house hacking is when you live in one unit and rent out the other units on like a multifamily property using like an FHA loan. And that was what I did. I made that post, like 30 people responded, took them all out to coffee, picked their brains like up and down, visited their properties, learned their SOPs, like learned all their processes, everything. And I found like an awesome investor / realtor, and we found a nice fourplex in North Phoenix, and I lived in one unit and ran out the other 3 units and lived for free, like when I was playing with the Cardinals. And then when I got cut, I took that unit that I was living in and had my manager Airbnb it, and went to the Lions and did the same exact thing with the duplex.
Yeah, that's great. See, I didn't even know all these stories beforehand. Like, you were already doing it during college and stuff like that. That's why I had to get you on.
I'm not, some people like make announcements before they're about to do something. I like try and do it first.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, I just did it.
I like that. So that makes sense now. So you just had the passion already for real estate like a while ago. Oh, yeah.
I've had the bug since I was almost 18, 19. Something I've always just wanted to do. And then it's coming to reality, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, for sure. So overall, you played for the Lions for 2 years, and then you signed with the Giants in November 2018, and then you announced your retirement in February. So what led to that decision?
So in like December, going into the off season, I realized even during the season, I'm realizing because I've always never been like crazy passionate about football. Like I already told you, like I was like someone who's passionate about football isn't willing to quit their junior year of high school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't, like, the best, but, like, I was going to play. Like, I love basketball more than football. Like, that's just what it is. And, like, I just saw football. It was just kind of like that. It was, like, event after event after event led to me going to the NFL. It was literally, my little brother went, and I'm like, oh, crap, like, I can do it. Like, now it's, like, take advantage of this opportunity of a lifetime. Like, in the lifetime of the opportunity, like, it won't be here forever. And it was, like, Haiti happened, and then it was, like, my coach telling me I could do it, and then it was just like it was happening, and I always still had that, like I said, entrepreneurial real estate bug. Like it was something that I needed and had to do it. And like my last season, I'm realizing like in my playbook, like half of my playbook is Dallas Cowboys. Here's people to watch for: Sean Lee, this person, that person. Like watch out for these different fronts and all that. And the other half of the page is call this investor today, call this broker today. I might have put some numbers on a property so I could kind of analyze it while I'm in meetings, because it's like I feel like I'm wasting so much time all day. And like I also had a baby back in August, and it came down to like it had to be that way because like I couldn't be the real estate investor I wanted to be, the dad I wanted to be. Like now I'm a speaker as well, the speaker I wanted to be, and like also play football. Like it didn't all add up in terms of what is making me happy, what is giving me fulfillment versus what does everybody think I should be doing. And like football is what everybody thinks I should be doing, but it was just like it's not necessarily what was making me happy. It's not necessarily what was, I wouldn't say it was holding me back because I think it was the most amazing stepping stool and just helped me guide me to where I wanted to go. And it was just like, it was the time. And like, it wasn't like, it was, body's hurting a little bit. And like, it was, some people are puppeted by the league, like stuck by the league and can't physically retire because if they retire, they can't pay their mortgage. If they retire, they can't pay their car payment. They can't sustain the lifestyle that they've now have, elevated their life to because they're on this level and don't realize, that money's not going to be there forever and like haven't leveraged themselves well. And, when you've leveraged yourself enough well, like you can easily walk away where now you're not like a slave to that paycheck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, exactly what you just said with the real estate and stuff and just making yourself happy. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Absolutely. And just being that, like, back to like being like a dad, like being able to like be with her every morning and like take her on a walk every single day and like see like all the small things that happen every day that I'd otherwise miss, when you're leaving at 6 a.m. and not coming back till 5:30 every day and like hungry, tired, and then she's only up for another hour and a half before she goes to sleep. Like that's not what I see fatherhood as for me.
Yeah, and I always say it too. I don't think like people like in general or like fans or whatever realize like the travel that pro athletes do in general, and just if they have families or kids or whatever, like they don't realize that they don't see them and the moods and stuff
real.
like that. Yeah, like I don't think people see it like that.
And even if you're a West Coast team, every time you play on the East Coast, you're not leaving on Saturday, you're leaving on Friday. Yeah. So like you're seeing your kids last time, Thursday night. You know what I'm saying? That's Thursday night, and then you leave Friday morning for practice, and then you literally get on a bus to go to the airport, and then you're gone until Sunday night.
Yeah.
And then, you get back, and then Monday you're back at work, and Tuesday you're off. And then if you got another away game again, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's like, that's cool. Like some people do that. And like, I work and I grind and I take days, but it's like, that's just not life for me on an everyday basis.
Yeah, definitely. Now going into your video content, which I think is great, and I've been seeing a lot of it, and I've been seeing that LinkedIn is killing it now. Like I think LinkedIn is the move right now for content. It's kind of
absolutely.
I think it's kind of on the low right now, but I think it's rising. It's rising right now. So what are your thoughts on LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn it's probably one of the best platforms out there, mainly because it has the best organic reach. It's like how Facebook was a couple years ago, like a decent amount of years ago, but it's unreal. It's actually wild. Like you don't even like Facebook, Instagram, like to get some of that reach, like you need to, maybe use Instagram, Facebook ads, but like LinkedIn, if you drop solid content, you'll get a wildly amount of organic reach. Like my very first post on LinkedIn, like got like 70,000 views, and like I freaked out. Like it was like I thought Instagram was gonna have like the way, like it was right when I first started dropping content after I retired, and I thought like Instagram and like was gonna have like the most views because like that was like really the only thing I ever posted on like while I was playing in the league, and I had like only 300 I think connections. And like after that post, like had over 1,000 connections and like 70,000 views, and like got to be on a couple podcasts and like got a couple speaking engagements out of it. And like it was really cool. I'm like, wow, like it proved itself. So now it's like double down on what it is. So now I'm trying to like with all the busy stuff I'm doing, like I'm trying to drop more value add content to LinkedIn, like stuff that's actually valuable, because like some of my stuff isn't necessarily for LinkedIn, and you got to kind of tailor your content to whatever platform, find whatever your content that goes to that platform. But like I'm trying to do some more written content and like some more like detailed, like some of the stuff and deals that I've done, but like on like an actual X's and O's and not on like just like a kind of a quick story like me and you talking right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like even I knew they were testing out going live on LinkedIn, but I didn't know
that. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's open. Yeah, I don't think it's open to the quote unquote public yet. But I think it's gonna be really interesting because I think then it's gonna be like actual like business talks on LinkedIn like live, which would be more valuable than people just going live on Instagram whiling.
That's very true.
All right. So, what advice would you give someone that either wants to make the NFL or is aspiring to be an entrepreneur?
I think the best thing is to be self-aware. Like, know what you actually want and know why you're doing it. Like, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because, your family thinks you should do it. Don't do it because your girlfriend thinks you should do it. Don't do it because your friends think you should do it. Like, do it because you want to do it. And, like, if you want to prove something to yourself, like, don't do it because you need to prove something to somebody else. Like, do what you love. Like, entrepreneurship is like something that's the new in right now. It's the thing that's cool. So, like, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money and a lot of pride and a lot of self-esteem, because a lot of people are going to fail in entrepreneurship. Like, everybody has L's. Like, I have L's in entrepreneurship, but it's about, like I said, being self-aware. Is it working? Like, only time will tell and the content will tell. Like, give it your all, especially like NFL or, NBA or any type of professional athlete. It's really comes down to those like cliche moments when you think no one's watching, really putting that work in and like doing those things that no one else is doing. Like, when you find yourself in those moments doing something that somebody else isn't doing and you find yourself alone doing it, double down on it, because that means you're really up to something. Like, I remember when I was training and I used to start to do hands with, like, there's a quarterback coach named Tony Racciopi, and like he's now like, he threw to me to my pro day, but he was training high school kids after like our training sessions started like 7, 8 at test, and we'd finish up like 4:30, 5 maybe, depending on the day and depending on the workouts. And he would be training high school kids at like 6, from like 6 to like 8 quarterbacks, and he would catch for them and be coaching them. So I just volunteered to like catch for him. And like, that was every day, like catching hundreds of high school balls, but it didn't matter because I was still getting my hands better. But I realized I was the only one doing it. I was like, all right, keep doing that, because it's those type of moments. It's that type of hard work. It's where the confidence comes in, where you can go back to when like you're like, I can just visualize those moments, like when you're in preseason camp or you're in mini camp and like times get tough, or like you might get a little bit down on yourself in terms of self-confidence. Like, oh man, am I really good enough to be here? And then you just go back in your mind, like, nah, I remember those moments. I put those hours and 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 hours of work in, where it's like, you can't beat that work. Like, that work is what it is. Like, it becomes muscle memory at that point. So it's like, it comes down to self-awareness. If that's what you want to do, that's what it's going to take. It doesn't happen overnight. 26 years is, what it's taken.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you ready for some fun questions? They're going to go from average to savage.
Oh, let's do it.
All right, what's on your playlist?
Oh, so I don't listen to much music because, like, I really do listen to like Gary Vee's podcast like all the time, and a couple of real estate podcasts. Let me pull up my title real quick. I'll tell you.
Or like any favorite songs right now?
Nothing new. I'm always just listening to. Like, I just got a new record, Lady by Masego. It's amazing. I was listening to some Kanye recently. Right. I was listening to some Chance recently. I was actually listening to some Dave Matthews Band recently.
All right, I'll take it. What about any good books you're reading right now?
Yeah, I'm reading. It's called Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. Mm-hmm. It's a really good book. It's about Tony Hsieh. He's the guy who started Zappos. Well, not really started it. He had an incubator, and that was one of the companies that were in the incubator. And just kind of how he created that company. And he's also like a real estate investor. Like, he's one of the bigger multifamily investors in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But he's like, he's a nine-figure millionaire. And like, he lives in an Airstream, like in a parking lot, like in different parking lots in Vegas. And I think it's like the coolest thing. But it's a really good book.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. What are 3 areas that you want to buy properties in?
Kansas City, Tampa, and Orlando.
All right. Any specific reasons why?
Yeah, the job growth in Kansas City is amazing. The population growth in Orlando is going by 1,000 people a week. And Tampa, kind of the same thing. That I-4 corridor going from Tampa to Orlando is that path of progress. And Tampa is like a very beautiful market, but the real estate there is very underpriced. And compared to Orlando, I actually like Tampa better because it has, compared to Orlando, has more of a touristy vibe, but Tampa actually has like a culture and like actual human vibe feeling to it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had to ask you to drop some of those gems.
No doubt.
And last one, what's harder, playing football or being an entrepreneur?
Playing football. Playing football, definitely.
Damn, I thought you were gonna say being an entrepreneur.
No, it depends on what you mean by hard, because it's more fun. I like the challenges. Like football, it's just like you're doing it, but it's like, who am I doing this for? I'm doing this for 32 of the richest people in the world. Like, you know what I mean? Playing fantasy football, and it's like I'd rather be doing it for myself, and it doesn't make it as hard when you're just like, when you're not having that self-actualization or realization of what's actually going on.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Hakeem Valles 80, so HAK, V as in Victor, ALLES, and then the number 80. That's Instagram and Twitter, and then LinkedIn, just Hakeem Valles. And like, I guess one of the best quotes that I like is, the fortune is in the follow-up. Like, people don't follow up with people, like, especially like after podcasts. Like, I hear when people drop their socials or emails, like, follow up, because like, it'd be dope to talk to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, one thing I've been preaching, like, people always DM me about, like, how am I getting, like, say you or somebody on my podcast, and I'm just emailing them or DMing them. It's not a secret. It's like, I'm just contact, you know.
Yeah, just starts with doing it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I appreciate you coming on again, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Absolutely, brother.